Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the We Are Not Lonely podcast. So, I've been wondering about what I want to talk about, and I just realized that I'm going to be talking about chaos because that seems to be a recurring theme in my life as of late. I. Yeah, so the thing is, chaos is essentially taking over, more or less. I do get the most important things done, but this entire episode got me thinking about the whole commentary. So I suppose this is going to turn into a meta commentary about order and chaos from like a philosophical perspective, and then we're going to head into other topics. But yeah, welcome back, and I'm glad to have you here. Let's start off. Right now, my life has been kind of, shall we say, overtaken by chaos. My routine's broken down. I'm not able to put a schedule in place, and this entire thing got me thinking, right? Because I'm obsessed with the whole productivity thing, doing things, and I've realized that this entire thing is like sort of a battle between order and chaos, and imposing a certain amount of order into my life. Now that also got me thinking a little deeper, and it took me down the road to Dr. Jordan Peterson and some of his works. Now I believe this entire thing was Jungian in nature. Dr. Carl Jung has a bunch of writings on the subconscious and Eastern mysticism, and he talks about the yin yang, which, among other things, represents both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, which respectively also symbolize order and chaos. Now, Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot in most of his lectures in his class, and I assume in his book called Order and Chaos, Beyond Order and Chaos. Yeah, he has a book on that, yeah. Beyond Order and Chaos, Maps of Meaning, and I think the new one is Beyond Order. I'm not sure about that. I will link the things in the description. I haven't gotten around to reading them yet, but I will be making time. It's on my list. So I'm gonna go with 12 rules and then touch on Beyond Order. So that's coming somewhere down the line, maybe podcast episode 25 or something. We're going to be talking about the works of Dr. Jordan Peterson and the effects it's had on me. But I seem to be jumping the proverbial gun. So let's get back to what I was talking about, which is order and chaos, right? So the idea that I've gathered so far is that essentially order and chaos have been sort of, basically something like the divine masculine is likened to order and the divine feminine is likened to chaos. So most of this is me thinking on my feet, so there might be some errors, but this is what the current understanding, the current extent of my understanding. Yeah, so let's do this. The first thing is, I think the entire idea of order being masculine also points to the possibility of, too much order is also toxic. It's not a good thing, and that's when we tend towards the fascist, communist regimes where all of the order, it's very highly ordered. Fascism was kind of like that, if you think about it. But I'm not going to go into that in too much detail. I'm just trying to, understand this sort of. This, I just realized that this podcast might be kind of chaotic. Meta podcast about chaos being chaotic. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, so too much order is a bad thing, and too much chaos is also a bad thing, because when everything's too chaotic, you have no idea where the next thing is coming from, where your next meal is coming from. All of your senses are on hyperdrive, and you die too quickly because of all of your systems on edge every single second, right? Now again, this is all ideas that I picked up from Dr. Jordan Peterson, and I can attest to the fact that there's some truth to this, because I've been trying to implement that into my own life, right? This whole clean your room rhetoric, focus on yourself, whatever ideas that you have, implement them on a personal level and see what the effects are on you before you try doing anything large scale like societal reform, right? So I took that to heart, and I've been doing that as much as I could, right? The first thing that I did was try to bring a certain amount of order into my life. And I've noticed that there's this phase, probably like once a month or so, when the routine just goes completely haywire and I have to reset. There's a bunch of mini resets. And I guess that's one of the benefits of me journaling my things and tracking my habits and all of that recently, because I can see the ups and downs, the particular the phase where I start going haywire, and I can kind of pinpoint what I did wrong and why I did wrong. Of course, like, it's a work in progress. I'm still not where I want to be, but the journey is the destination. Self improvement for the sake of self improvement. I guess like some YouTubers would disagree and say that self improvement is masturbation, but that's not the that's not the topic today. I am trying to do better, to quote Toby. Yeah. So this entire thing, like when I said that there's too much order is bad, and too much chaos is also bad. So obviously it does imply that there is a middle path that's ideal, and that's sort of like, in the yin yang, in the symbol of the yin yang, there's one entire area that is white with a black dot, and the other side. I don't know why I'm explaining the yin yang to you. You know what a yin yang looks like, but just for the heck of it, right? But there's a line in between both extremes, right? That is the ideal, is what Dr. Jordan Peterson says. And basically, you have enough order so that you're not constantly on edge, and not like pretty much your environment isn't a constant threat that you have to defend yourself from. And at the same time, you have just enough novelty from that little bit of chaos. And that's supposed to be one of the ideal states that will take you to the flow state. And this is also mirrored in Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's work Flow, if I remember correctly, which is one of my favorite books on the entire the psychology of happiness, shall we say. Yeah, I like how things just tie in together. All of my disparate experiences just come together to make this beautiful, beautiful freaking moment. Right? So that's the thing. And since I'm on this, like, I just want to talk about like how much I've got like things planned for this. I just have some issues with getting out the content because of scheduling issues. See, chaos, a lot of chaos. I'm kind of overwhelmed by the whole thing, which is why I'm not performing at peak efficiency. So I'm trying to bring back a little more order. Right now, my life is a lot more chaotic than I would like it to be. So yeah, so I've noticed that personally, at least, like my life is about, since I'm a freelancer and I don't have a specified schedule, it like again, Dr. JP speaks about this, and he says that, like, for people that don't have jobs, they're not conscientious enough to have a routine, life gets really difficult, and a job really kind of helps with that. So yeah, more or less, like, I do have like a sort of a routine. I have a bunch of things that I get done on a daily basis, but it's nowhere near the level that I want to be, and I know that I could be doing better. So, I'm just trying to do better every single day. And since we're on this, like, I just want to talk about like this massive, just like this absolute hatred that Dr. Jordan Peterson gets from anybody. The interesting thing, like, I personally know some people who can't, like, stand Dr. Jordan Peterson, as in their own words. I'm not saying that they're not entitled to their opinion, but the thing is, what I've understood is they basically haven't gone through his work. I'm guessing they haven't studied up on his ideologies. They haven't listened to him speak. They probably haven't read his books, and they have an idea of him from what technically counts as secondary sources, right? From areas other than the person that the concerned area, like the primary literature, right? So they've come to a really, I would say it's a sort of a misguided understanding of Dr. Jordan Peterson and his work, and they hate him like vitriol. I get it. Like, everybody's different. They have different opinions. They are entitled to different opinions, but essentially, Dr. JP's entire thing is about responsibility, taking responsibility, becoming a better person, working on yourself. That's the core message, right? And most of his work is geared to that. He was a clinical psychologist for many years. He was a lecturer at several universities, and recently he's been put into the spotlight because of, well, I guess it's essentially like, a person speaking the truth, and I guess because speaking the truth has become a sort of a radical idea now, because everybody's lying. Because, truth is, they say truth is subjective, but then someone brings up objectivity and everybody gets real pissed about it. And I guess he really shot up into fame after the whole Bill C-16 thing, and then the Kathy Newman interview, where if you watch the entire thing, she tries to misrepresent him so many times. She tries to misrepresent his arguments. She listens without really listening, and then takes what he's saying and makes a straw man out of it. She doesn't even summarize his argument right. She just goes on and on and on. So what you're saying is, and she goes on to mischaracterize his entire argument. And yeah, those were some of the initial things that I started watching about Dr. Jordan Peterson, and I kind of got hooked. And now I'm at this point where I'm defending him against random people on the internet. I'm not really, but like, I guess you get what I'm saying, right? People who haven't really read his work, because like the way he's characterized, now this is the power of the media, so to speak, because the thing is, even on pretty much every talk show that I've seen, people just come straight at him with these assumptions. Like, a lot of people have made these assumptions and they just throw their assumptions at him. So what you're a transphobe because you refuse to use pronouns. And then he has to clarify his position and say, no, what I'm really against is the fact that the government requires you to use certain pronouns, and that is the start of a tyranny. And we've seen this. If a government can enforce certain speech, if they require you to speak a certain way, that's the beginning of the slide towards tyranny. Towards a tyrannical government. And this is all there in 1984, George Orwell's really cool freaking book about authoritarian governments. So, shit, I lost my thread of thought there. Authoritarianism and all of that, jack. A lot of this is gonna have to be cut out, god damn it. So yeah, dude, like, Jordan Peterson gets a lot of hate, and I don't think it is justified. If they listen to his arguments, listen to what he's saying. Now, I'm not going to say he's the smartest man alive, that he knows about everything that he talks about. There are certain areas that he seems to be a little misinformed. I'm not going to say that he's perfect, right? But the amount of hate he gets for absolutely no reason just baffles me. And this... especially considering his core message, which is get your shit together, become a better person before you think of doing anything for the society. Before you think of improving society, work on yourself. You become a better person. Since you're a part of society, if you better yourself, you automatically make society that much better by transforming yourself. That is kind of like the entire thing, because you can't really control anything outside of yourself. You can't control certain events and certain consequences. If you perform an action, it pretty much always has unintended consequences, right? But yeah, okay, so I guess this is just another symptom of this mad world that we're living in, where the basics of logic and rhetoric are just ignored, and everybody uses that as an opportunity to piss on and shit on a logical argument. it's sad. I guess, who is it that said that those who speak truth in an untruthful world will be branded as evil or something? Something like that. There's a quote somewhere that I've read on the internet. It might not be true because the internet has this thing of mischaracterizing quotes. Don't believe everything you read on the internet, said Abraham Lincoln. Where do you find that? I found it in the internet, bro. Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, with a grain of salt, but yeah. As always, I'd like to apologize for the dog shit freaking quality of the audio because there's construction happening next to my house, and that's always going to be heard. You can track the construction of the house next to my house by just going through my podcast. You can hear the zzz of the drills and all that nonsense. Anyway, yeah, so that was the first bit of the podcast. I want to talk about chaos, and it seems like this entire thing was self-fulfilling. The entire first half is like extremely chaotic. It doesn't seem to be any order in all of that. But if I had to summarize this, like, I would say that life is a constant battle between order and chaos, particularly within you, right? And it's not to say that the extreme of either end is not desirable. You need to try to walk the fine line in the middle, but obviously not everybody can do that, and it's very difficult. But you gotta try. You got this life, and you gotta do your best, or you remain mediocre and all of that. But okay, moving on, I want to talk about another thing that kinda, to quote Leo, really unsettles my scrot. And that's about this recent wave of woke politics and woke messaging through the internet and through certain media. Now, forget the internet because you can block it out, but when you go to watch a movie and you get lectured on certain things, kinda annoying, right? Now, what brought this on? I recently watched Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's been a couple of weeks, and I know that not everybody has watched it. But so I'm not going to talk about it, obviously, right? Because, spoilers, but I'm not going to be talking about the movie itself. I'm going to be talking about my reaction to the movie. Right? Because I understand that people have not watched it, right? But I am going to be touching on the things that happened before this particular movie, and I'm going to be touching on a bunch of other media, because this has been going on for a while, and I think it needs to fucking stop, dude, because I have had enough of this nonsense, this dog shit, alright? This message, this political freaking posturing through media. Now, obviously, Hollywood can afford to do this because it's got a lot of money, but I, for one, am done with this dog shit, and I don't think I'm going to be watching another Disney movie. I'll probably hit the old yo-ho-ho! It's the pirate's life for me. I'm done. I am done giving my company... I am done giving my money to companies who would rather fucking lecture me than entertain me. I am done with this dog shit, alright? Yeah, so this entire thing started off after I watched Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. MOM, Doctor Strange Mom. I'm not going to talk about the movie like I've promised because of spoilers, but eventually I will do the whole thing. There are a bunch of reviews that have accurately captured the essence of my argument, but this movie was just another long run, okay? I think, personally, after No Way Home, I'm done. I felt like No Way Home should have been the last one, but I really liked the first Doctor Strange movie, and I thought, maybe there's going to be some nice stuff here, and will admit there was some really cool visuals, right? But yeah, I suppose I should add like a spoiler warning, even though I haven't spoken a single word about the movie so far, right? I was excited for Doctor Strange too, man. Especially after watching Doctor Strange 1. I think that came out sometime in 2016. So it's been nearly, 6 years since Doctor Strange had his standalone movie. He's one of my favorite characters, and before the original movie, the first movie came out, I did this whole thing where I binged on the entire comic thing, right? And so obviously I noticed some inconsistencies, like the Ancient One. Well, the reason they removed the Ancient One, he was actually a Tibetan man, and there's this whole China Tibet thing happening where China refuses to accept the autonomy of Tibet, and they've put His Holiness the Dalai Lama into exile because they want to take over the country and control that. Yeah, so to pander to that, Disney removed the Ancient One. This is Doctor Strange 1. They replaced the Ancient One with Tilda Swinton. Yeah. The Ancient One is a man, an old Tibetan man. And Kamataj is not in the Himalayas, it's not in Nepal, it's actually in Tibet. Right? They removed all of these details from the movies to pander to the Chinese market. Right? So that's the power of money. That's strike number one in my book. I still watched a lot of movies after that, huh? I still watched pretty much the entire Marvel saga all the way up to Infinity War and Endgame. Endgame, this is not a movie criticism. I'm not going to be talking about the thing. It's just about like the difference between that phase of Marvel movies and what is so-called phase 4. In the new movies, I watched Shang-Chi. I liked it. Okay, it's got its own issues. Very powerful movie, especially the whole father-son fight, and it was very touching. I liked it, right? But I've watched Shang-Chi, I've watched No Way Home, I watched the whole Spider-Man thing, because, No Way Home, then the one before that, the one immediately after the Infinity War and Endgame saga, Spider-Man, the one with Mysterio, right? That one. I liked that, but I think I should have stopped watching it after No Way Home. I like Shang-Chi, no, don't get me wrong, but fucking hell, man. Disney's gone to the dogs, right? They've gone woke, first of all. As we move through the movies, we increase in Marvel's and Disney's wokeness, which resulted in shitty writing. I'm going to talk about WandaVision for a second because it's relevant. Because all of this, now what they've started doing is they have this continuous narrative, which kind of fucking annoys me because now everything needs to be watched. People who haven't watched WandaVision and go ahead to watch Multiverse of Madness will be like, what the fuck, Wanda had kids? Wasn't she dating a robot called Vision? Right? It's connected. So if you don't watch WandaVision, you don't understand what the fuck is happening in Multiverse of Madness. Anyway, yeah. I mean, that might be a spoiler. Yeah, probably. I'm gonna have to re-record a spoiler warning at the end, at the beginning of this, because fuck it. So yeah. So WandaVision. There's this fucking annoying trend of Marvel not wanting to make a villain into a villain. Alright? Because face it, what Wanda is doing is kind of fucked up. And for some reason, nobody wants to call her out on this bullshit. She took an entire town hostage. Okay? She enslaved their minds. We didn't see the kids because she wasn't controlling the kids. Alright? They were put to sleep. And they touch on this. Why would they know other kids? Because Wanda didn't want them to be there. Okay? And they bring this up in one of the episodes. Alright? Nobody in the town wants to be there. They're all being forced through mind manipulation. Right? And this isn't talked about enough. And towards the end of it, they say, they'll never know how much you sacrificed for them. Bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? She took control of their minds. They were in a nightmarish reality, not able to control themselves, playing something that they didn't want to. They couldn't talk, cuddle, or even take care of their kids. Okay? You imagine in that huge town there were no kids at all? Huh? Freaking human rights violations, left, right, and center. Honestly, and nobody gives a fuck. Doctor Strange, my dude, I'm not here to talk about Westview. Fucking kick your ass, dude. This is not... What is wrong? This guy is supposed to be a freaking surgeon. He cried at the thought of taking a single life in Doctor Strange 1. Alright? He whined about it like a dog, to quote Mordo. And we have this guy saying, I'm not here to talk about Westview. What is this? Inconsistent freaking writing. Alright? And I believe that the people who have written Doctor Strange 2 are the same people who continued on from WandaVision. So, I just keep fucking portraying Wanda as a victim throughout the series. When, throughout the, I'm talking about WandaVision too, right? WandaVision. This entire thing was brought up by grief over Vision's death in Infinity War, where she had to kill him. So, the thing is, Vision's alive, dude. Okay? We've seen him. Vision tried to kill Wanda, and then he came back to life. You know, the whole Ship of Theseus thing? And then he leaves. Why hasn't she gone to try to find him? Huh? Why? Okay, so she is so super powerful, right? Towards the end of Scarlet Witch, the series, towards the end of WandaVision, we hear from Agatha Harkness that the Scarlet Witch is very powerful. She can create reality just with her thoughts. So why doesn't she just conjure up her kids again, dude? What is this nonsense? Why is she heartbroken? She can just find Vision. She's still alive. He's still alive. Right? So my entire point is that there's really bad writing in this movie. And I kind of ignored all of that because the visuals are so fucking pretty. Right? And then you have America Chavez. Technically a Mexican, an immigrant, whose superpower is crossing borders. I know America Chavez exists in the comics, I understand that. But, you know, that was funny. I felt like that was hilarious. America Chavez, a Mexican superhero whose superpower is crossing borders. Totally not racist, by the way. Oh my god, Disney. So, I guess my entire problem is that Disney is going woke, and you can see this. So recently there was this entire outrage over a certain Don't Say Gay bill, which was supposed to be passed in Florida, which is not actually the case, right? The case was that teachers would be prevented from talking about sexual topics to minors. Which, if you think about it, makes total fucking sense, right? Unless it's sex education and like the parents are there or something like that, right? It's basically an anti-grooming bill. And Disney and its employees are getting pissed about that, right? So Disney's gone full woke. A lot of employees are super angry about this. A lot of people have been taking it lying down. The majority of the company does not agree. The majority of the company's employees does not agree with its policies. And this is another reason. This is strike 2. Disney has literally stood up and supported a bill that is against grooming. Okay? They said they want this bill to be passed, and they're starting to do severe or some nonsense. They want to pull out of Florida or some nonsense. Some dog shit. You think they'll do that? This is the issue, okay? They have a very small freaking vocal minority that is dictating insane policies based on emotions. They have no logic. Okay? Protecting kids from predators is a good thing. If you have a problem with that, I think you're part of the problem. You're a part of the predatory gang that preys on innocent kids. What is wrong with you? God damn it. Humanity is heading further and further to an unescapable fucking abyss. Okay? I can't believe the amount of stupidity that we've freaking manifested. Education was supposed to prevent this. What the hell happened, dude? Oh my god. I'm going to stop for a second because it seems recently that every single podcast I've done has ended with a rant about how humanity is moving towards its end. And I don't want it to be that. I want this podcast to be wholesome. Okay? But fucking hell, dude. Anyway, so yeah, Disney has gone woke. That's the second reason I'm going to be basically boycotting Disney now. I think I'm done, dude. I'm not going to be supporting this company with my money. Done. I'm going to be telling my people around me as well. Fuck Disney. They support pedophiles. What is this nonsense? I'm going to have to censor that. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that for a second because I had like this huge unsettlement of my scrot because of the whole policies that Disney was following. And the writing's gotten so much worse. The writing is now dog shit. Obviously there were inconsistencies before, but right now we've just got rabid fanboys who, white knights, so to speak, who will defend the company. No matter what bullshit they put out. That's what it's reached. I don't think I'm for that. Alright? So Disney's not the only company suffering from this, by the way. I believe there was this streaming platform called CNN Plus that shut down within a month of it going live. Which is fucking brilliant because all it wanted to do was woke, pandering bullshit. And Netflix. Let's talk about Netflix, dude. Let's talk about the sins of Netflix. This is literally go woke, get broke. Alright? A lot of employees in Netflix and Netflix itself have, like, essentially the kind of freaking shows that they've been putting out are dog shit, man. Absolute bloody dog shit. And the thing is, they've been cancelling the good shows that people want to watch. And I'm going to complain about this for a second here, right? Because I wanna. Because you go woke and you get broke. Now the entire thing is, one of the entire things that started for me at the beginning of this year was watching season 2 of The Witcher. Alright? It's been 5 whole months. I've held it in this long. And I think it's time to let this out. Alright? I think we need to let it out in the air. Because holding it any longer is going to make me more toxic than I already am. I expend all of my toxicity in a Valorant Spike Rush lobby. I actually don't like, I just like, I just pew 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 and I feel so refreshed. So anyway, this whole thing about Netflix going woke. Recently, Netflix has lost a lot of money. I don't know why. I'm assuming they took like a political stance on some bullshit. Why did Netflix? Let's see. It seems like it's on a rise today, Netflix stock. But if you look at the last 6 months, sorry about that. Give me a second. Got this part out. Okay, let's see. Let's do this. 1 second. Yeah, okay. So, compared to November 2021, where the stock price was it was nearly $679.33 US. This is Netflix's share price that we're talking about. It has dropped consistently. It's been on a freaking downwards. It's dropped. Okay? And Netflix's share value currently is $187.64 US. Why? Why would it do this? Why? Why would they do that? Huh? Okay? The stock has dropped. It is tanked. 40% of its market value has been lost. Let's talk about this. Alright. 1. They have really dog shit shows now. Okay? 2. A lot of competitors. 3, they've gone woke. See, the other thing is like Netflix is kind of expensive. Let's not kid ourselves. It's kind of expensive, and they've started to talk about incorporating practices that will fuck up the subscriber count even more. Now, in India particularly, there was this case of Netflix portraying really anti-Hindu sentiments, and a lot of people started calling for a boycott. I'm just reporting on things as it was, right? I'm not making a comment on whether or not this was right. Um, One second, let me just look up that. A lot of people say that Netflix is not losing people because of woke content, but I beg to differ because recently, what's been happening is they've been losing subscribers like mad. One of the things was probably Russia, that entire market that they lost because of war, and they walked out of it. Apparently, there were quite a few Russian subscribers to this whole Netflix, right? Now, that might have had it, but they've lost nearly 200,000 subscribers, and Netflix has lost 55 billion off of its market value. And they here's the thing, like, yeah, so that's one of the main things. Like, they expected to, they left Russia, so they lost a lot of subscribers there. Most of this thing, so one of the reasons Netflix has been doing well for the past couple of years was because of the pandemic. People were stuck at home and they were like, hey, what do we do? Cable TV is boring. What do we do? And they subscribed to Netflix because, hey, what the hell? Let's do this. We're stuck at home. And so, they might have seen an unreasonable growth during the pandemic times. Now, people have things to do. They like to go out and extroverts like to go out and spend time with their friends. So Netflix is losing subscribers there again. Another thing is, I've never subscribed to Netflix. I always hop on my friend's account. Netflix wanted to stop this sharing of passwords, which was one of the main reasons that they had this many customers. And one of the reasons they had, people watching Netflix. If they're essentially cutting their own leg off to it. Okay, but of course, at the same time, Netflix has a lot of competition now. Disney Plus, HBO, they have Hulu, some nonsense. Yeah, Apple, Amazon, Disney, Amazon Prime. Yeah, there you go. A lot of companies, but this is very sad. Essentially Netflix is cutting its losses. It's kicking out a lot of people. I'm assuming that the wokes are the first to go because they don't really have anything to offer most of the time. They just scream about social justice and equality, and they probably got their jobs because of diversity hiring. Yeah, see, so I'm reading this article from The Guardian that says that shares of Netflix rose 86% from the end of 2019 through 2021, which again falls smack right in the middle of this whole pandemic timeline, which is when people were stuck at home and had nothing else to do, so they subscribed to Netflix and they watched a bunch of movies, all right? And now they want to introduce advertisements on Netflix, on a paid platform, where they want more advertisement and they want to increase prices and they want to crack down on password sharing. Yeah, well, I think this is just I can hear the death bells. One of the reasons that I'm just going to go ahead and say it, people stopped looking at alternate streaming services compared to, OTT platforms like Netflix, is because they would come onto Netflix and they had a wide amount of available choices for entertainment. Okay? Now with the mushrooming of newer and newer OTT platforms, you've got every single company is deciding to launch its own streaming platform, that's going to be an issue because consumers don't want to be subscribed to 10 different streaming platforms. The entire thing that streaming platforms had going for them was easy availability of content, and they could just come to one place and watch everything that they needed. It was convenient for a long time. But now it's not convenient anymore. Two, instead of entertaining us, these companies have started to lecture us. So they're like, why stay here? It says that we're not thing, right? This is... So yeah. Despite this whole thing about subscription where they have money coming in every month, they're deciding to add advertisements. I think that's going to spell, if they go ahead with that, I think that's going to spell a death knell for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to jump out. But let's see. Going woke, getting broke seems to be the mantra of the new world. I'm going to end it here because I think I've gone on long enough and ranted long enough. Thank you for joining me today. I understand that the past couple of weeks have been rather chaotic. This particular week's podcast has been extremely chaotic. It's also come out a little later than usual. But as always, I hope you're doing well. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments. If you like it, let me know that you liked it. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you don't like it, leave a dislike. Let me know why. Okay, cool. Thank you for dropping by. See you again next week.